So today we're going to fly Buckbeak, and I want to talk about dopamine deprivation and kind of its role in games. So you know those games where you put hours and hours and hours in, and then you get a chest, and it's basically a raffle ticket. You know, it could be something totally cool and wonderful. It could be a million pretty subpar options, and most of the time it's a subpar option. So you put all this energy into trying to achieve the outcome of getting this really cool thing, and instead of getting the cool thing, you get the lottery ticket. You know, it's one way, so everybody's got limits, right? For how long we can study and learn and work at 100%. You know, it's kind of a short limit too, especially when we're trying to make important decisions. We have to juggle a lot of options, or we're really, really stressed. Stress makes that window tiny. You know, like the more cortisol that's going on, the worse your decision making usually is. Because the frontal cortex doesn't really operate optimally when your cortisol levels are high, when your adrenals are activated, whatever they say. Back to layman's terms in normal life. What I'm saying is, when things aren't fulfilling or rewarding, why do them? But what you have to realize is that the reward has been removed from a lot of things. So Barnes & Noble, for example, I used to love it. Because I used to be able to go with my friend and hang out there for a few hours, get a snack or a drink, and get a bunch of books. Usually, like, if I was really excited about a new book and I've been waiting for it to come out for like a year, you know, I could go get the book and I could finally read it after I've been waiting for so long. Well, here's kind of how it is now, and I will never forget this. They took away the chairs, and they moved the cafe, and they changed the shelving arrangement so that you're on your feet with no chair, nowhere to sit and talk with anybody, just meandering through this labyrinth maze of garish, brightly colored novels that look the same but also different. It's kind of even worse lately, to be honest. But then it's also like, oh, there was this one book I really wanted, which was the only reason I went back in the store at all, because they said they had it, and of course they didn't. Got lost, couldn't find anything, only to find out that they were completely sold out because it had gone like viral on TikTok, and couldn't get it. So I didn't get to read that book for 6 months after the release date because I waited for a sale. And what happens, the longer you wait, or the longer time you spend, the longer time you spend looking at something, thinking about something, the less willpower you have to say no to it. You know? Same thing with just getting overwhelmed. When you get overwhelmed, you're very likely to make just a decision to make it stop, and you're not necessarily thinking about everything. Now, in marketing, that's kind of hijacked. It's kind of the whole point of marketing. And in games, what they do is the same thing. They want you to spend as much time as possible, and they want to make you desperate to spend money. Like, I was going to call it another game, and I was trying to be a good neighbor, so I wasn't going to say it. So I'm still not. But it's the same deal. I actually did the math to figure out what it would take to do what I want to do in the game and get the reward that I want. And I realized I would either have to log in every day for 700 days or spend $10. And you cannot have my $10. I can't afford that. I'm not going to do that. And I don't want to spend it on a game that I already purchased. But of course, like, I get the need to make more profit. However, you have to ask yourself, when you're dealing with marketing and you're dealing with social media and all these things, do they deserve to make that profit from me? You know, are they worth my time? Are they worth my energy? And that's the most important question to ask. You know, the time that you have in your attention span has basically been monetized. And whether you're working, or you're going to the store, or you're going to the bookstore, or you're on social media, it has a different value than it used to have. I would like to argue that your attention span is one of your most valuable resources. In terms of whatever skills you want to learn, or whatever experiences you want to have, you need to be able to make decisions. You need to be able to make good decisions, And the more tired and burned out and overwhelmed you feel, the harder that becomes. And some of that part is not your fault. There's a lot of things that have changed to make it harder. And it's definitely one of the reasons why, even having a degree in marketing, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. There's a lot of conflict there. Anyways, I like games like this because the storyline is encapsulated. You have a hero's quest, you have some mini games, and you get to finish the game. I also like sometimes games that continue past the storyline. However, like I said, that has a point. When I'm doing an action, expecting a specific reward, it is motivating to continue if I get that reward. If I don't, I start to just burn out on whatever it is. And I just lose all my enjoyment in the game. And developers and game writers play with that line a lot. Marketers play with that line a lot. Everybody's playing with that line. It's up to us as individuals to kind of decide where our line is. And, for some people it's not a big deal and they're fine with spending money or whatever it is. I just am pointing it out because you shouldn't have to. And if you don't want to kill switch on your game, you shouldn't have to have one. Stuff like that. I don't feel that's right. I feel once you own a game, you own a game. Once you own a book, you own a book. I don't agree with being licensed something that I purchased. I purchased this to read it. I didn't purchase this so you could keep editing it and take it away anytime you want and not give me any money back. You thief. You liar. Oh, huele pepelo. Yeah, my brain was buffering because I was a little tired, if you can't tell. So some of the things that I do to make games more enjoyable for me is, depending on my bandwidth, I pick mini games like this. It helps a lot. Things with a really defined result just makes it a better experience sometimes. Other times, there's games that are more continuous based, and I like those kind of in a multiplayer format so that I am socializing while I'm playing. And that can also be really, really rewarding because social connection and time with my friends is one of the most important things to me. It's like time with animals and time with my close friends. Kind of the top two things in the world that just make everything better. Anyways, if you feel kind of deprived of dopamine, I wouldn't be surprised. And definitely the way that, I gotta say this. I don't have to say this, but I am gonna say this. When they blame the algorithm for things, someone wrote that algorithm, okay? It's doing what it's designed to do. So don't accept any excuses, okay? Because they designed it to do the thing. Same thing with marketing, same thing with the layouts of stores, same thing with product display, same thing with showing targeted ads, whatever it is. It's all deliberate and you need to be aware of it as such. As people, we long for connection and belonging, and we want to trust people. And that is inherently not a bad thing, but it can very easily turn into a bad thing in certain contexts. When you're making decisions for your mental health and your financial stability, you have the right to have all the information. And that should not be a confusing take.
Hard luck, Harry. Try again.
So now that I've flown Buckbeak into the tree like 5 times, I'm gonna say I need to be done for today. And I hope there was something meaningful in this little chat. I don't remember a single thing that I said, so it'll be fun to find out later. Just don't have much of a bandwidth today. Today was quite challenging in every regard. And yeah, so my bandwidth is really low and I'm gonna quit right there. Probably what I'm going to do is log back on and play with an audiobook sometime later this week, probably. Because I want to get a perfect score on all of Buckbeak's flights. So that's my goal. Pauhana. We'll talk later. Bye.